morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here, along with One Angry Pagan for another Eco Flake show. Pagan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm being pestered by the dog right now for some reason.
Yes, I see. Yeah, he's got his distraction here. He's got his distraction, but we are an animal-friendly YouTube channel, so animals are always welcome to appear on streams, no matter what they are. Lovely dog. Good to see some friendly faces in the chat. Hope you guys are all doing well. Pete's Music, we always love chatting with Pete's Music. Good to see you there. And Scott as well. And anybody else who may be lurking in the chat. So, guys, just for those who are new here, who are new to this live stream, normally we cover normally climate, environment, green energy, all that kind of jazz, guys. That's basically what this show is all about, and we do this once a month as well. So you hope you find some of the stories we've got for you guys interesting. I'll put links to all of them in the description as well. And just a quick reminder before we dive into it as well. If you're not subscribed to One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel, do consider subscribing to his channel. It does lots of content on that, among many other things as well. So do check them out. You guys get the opportunity to do so. Stephen Banker, good to see you there as well. Before we get straight into it, how are you feeling about politics the last couple of days, my friend? So a lot's been going on. I'll just get your thoughts before we dive into the climate stuff and the environment.
I just chuck out a video earlier on my channel earlier. We're saying about one of the things that's doing my head in is that Farage and Trump will chuck out these claims and with no proof.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the burden of proof is now on the person to disprove the claim. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not how it works. If you come out with a bullshit claim, you've got to fucking prove that claim.
Yeah.
Just what? And so, it was one of those where it was for me a 6-minute video is a fairly short video, and I was like, you know what? I've got to get it out. Because this is going to do my head in. People are abandoning the scientific principle for rumor and opinions, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I've just realised as well, as we're live, guys, I just realised that because I paid for StreamYard for me and Mikey Famine, I actually have more background, so I didn't have to pick this sloppy green one again. I just noticed that. Peter, good to see you there as well. And Jao, one of our moderators as well. Do subscribe to Jao's YouTube channel when you get a chance as well, guys. So let's start with this one. Obviously, we had UN General Assembly that took place was it yesterday or last couple, pretty much during the week, pretty much.
Wasn't it a 2-3 day thing?
It is normally a couple of days, isn't it? Because I know yesterday the Syrian president was speaking. I haven't read up on what he said as well, because it was the first time in 40 plus years or something since a Syrian president has spoken at the UN as well. But one of the things that was brought up as well, if screen would highlight for you guys in the chat, is the science that demands action. World leaders and the United Nations push climate agenda forward despite Trump's attacks. Leaders unveil new targets to cut planet heating pollutions after Trump calls the climate crisis a con job. Obviously Donald Trump's comments at the UN convention were unhelpful. I think it's fair to say.
But he's shouting into that. I think this proves he's shouting into the wind, though. On this, even take a microcosm of this. Say the Refugee Party, yeah. A lot when you look at just general opinion polls when it comes to Refugee voters, most of them are actually not climate deniers.
Yeah,
they're all I would say energy stuff.
Yeah, I think obviously immigration is what pulls people towards reform voters more than anything.
Exactly.
But when it comes to other policies, there will be difference of opinions outside of that.
But the overwhelming majority of them actually support, the green transition, even if it's not a big thing that they're thinking about. But when they are made to think about it, they go, yeah, I'm not going to deny the science. It's really weird. But to me, you take that microcosm and go back to this situation, it's very much a case of I actually think Trump's shouting into the wind on this one.
Yeah. Chris, good to see you there. Alison Keir, good to see you there. Anybody else? If we don't get a chance to say hello to everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I appreciate you guys all being here. Here's the thing: we haven't since we last come together. General question to you, Pagan: are we doing anywhere near enough that we should be doing on climate?
Okay, by what metric? And when I ask that, I mean, do you mean in absolute terms or do you mean on mitigation?
Mitigation.
Right. Okay. Cool. Because if you're going to go on the absolute terms, then we're not going to reverse climate change no matter what we fucking do.
No, but in terms of mitigation.
Okay. In terms of mitigation, I think it's with any. Whilst I think we can move faster, I do also recognise that these things take time to get up and moving. And because you're talking about organising tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people across, if we're just talking about the UK alone, across 4 nations, and this means that it's no simple thing to plan and organise to get the green transition moving. However, I've actually, one thing I've been pleasantly surprised at is I've seen more and more government-backed adverts on YouTube, and when I've been in other people's houses on the TV, supporting the green transition. Like if the government's actually pushing one thing when it comes to comms, actually a lot better, it's pushing for the green transition. Like they're really doing a shit job when it comes to a lot of other policies, but when it comes to green transition, they're actually pushing ahead with it. It may not seem enough right now, but you got to think of these things building up over time.
Yeah,
that's the realistic view on it. Yes, they can and should be pushing faster, but I also understand the limitations. So, whilst I'm going to have my criticisms and say that, look, yes, I get the limitations, but you can still move faster than this. I'm also not going to be until I see evidence of them properly backsliding on what they're doing. I'm not really. I'm really not going to complain too much because I know that many small changes over time making massive difference going forwards. And if you can make enough changes, fundamental changes to the system, it's like it's like with what Labour's trying to do with local, changing certain things at a fundamental level in England's local governments.
Yeah.
Trying to bring about these citizens' assemblies, trying to push more decisions out. So. But even though these all things seem like small little changes, over time, they actually add up. We wouldn't have gotten to this position without that effect. So it's going to be the same with this. Now, on some levels, it's like, this ties in with the Ed Miliband story, where it's like, it's not, whilst yes, they're keeping one eye open on the gas and oil on the just in case principle, but that's not Ed Miliband's priority. It's quite evident that his priority is the green transition.
Yeah, But we'll touch on that story because I know Chris is eager to
just,
talk about it in the chat as well. We will touch on that story in a bit, guys.
It goes to my point. It goes to my point on the question you asked me. Like, are we doing enough? That question, I think, is not an easy one to answer. You could say yes, and you could say no, quite easily. But I would say that
we have a better understanding from certain countries' perspectives, but not all countries' perspective, to have an international position of knowing overall. I think is a fair answer to it. Is that a fair way to put it?
When it comes to this situation, the more countries that we bring online over time, the more actions we're able to take, the more that we're able to do. Essentially, like it's the problem is that it's very much like the reformist left, myself, against the revolutionary left, right? Those who want massive changes, and those who know that like real change like rarely comes through big massive jumps. It's usually through reforms.
So I think I don't have the story here, but obviously just like there was a story that I saw while also looking at some stuff as well, that I believe China is once again had a new statistics today. They reduced emissions even further from the looks of what they were saying, but that's just one source, obviously. So, but most of the time we do hear like China, for example, are actually going in the right direction to a certain extent.
I mean,
but
in general, they are. Considering the size of their economy and the massive speed up that they did in trying to, jumpstart their economy to catch up with the West.
Yeah.
They are taking a small c conservative estimate on what it will take for how long it will take for them and what it will take for them per year or whatever to bring it to get down to net zero.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near enough considering what the size, but again, there is some nuance to China. I mean, you've got to think of the size of the economy that you're talking about. Like this is why it's good. This is why it's good that whilst China is continuing to use gas, oil, and coal, over time, they're also bringing in solar and wind, and once that's up, and more nuclear, and once that's up to par with the fossil fuel stuff, they can then bring the fossil fuel stuff down without needing to risk a massive jump to their economic system.
I like that, Scott. Yeah, looking at bio-based fertilizers, they'll make massive difference to run off reliance on nasty stuff from produced in-house. I don't have a story on that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Scott.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, I totally get that, Chris. Yeah, and we'll cover that exclusive from The Guardian in a bit. Don't worry, we will. Let's touch on this story before we dive into the one that I'm sure everyone wants to talk about. I mean, I touched on it this morning anyway, as you guys know, but leaders unveil new targets to cut planet healing pollution after Trump calls climate crisis con job. Let me read this part here before give our thoughts on it. So, world leaders have unveiled new targets to cut planet heating pollutions at the United Nations in a bid to spur fresh impetus to the aggrieved climate effort a day after Donald Trump called the crisis the greatest con job ever perpetrated upon the world. A total of 120 countries and the European Union announced new goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in New York on Wednesday. The pledges most notably included one from China, the world's leading emitter, which said it would cut emissions by 7 to 10% from its peak level by 2035. Antonio Guterres, I'm not watching his name, the UN's Secretary General, convened the special summit for the new goals and urged countries, most of which are badly lagging in efforts to avoid breaching agreed temperature limits, to enact much further, much faster cuts. I mean, it's good that 120 countries and the European Union here are saying this, and obviously it's much harder to put it into action, but it is an agreement that a good amount of nations around the world are saying we still need to do this. Yes, we all know we're not doing enough, but we are still in agreement that we need to reduce emissions. So from that perspective, it's a good thing from the globe that they all want to reduce emissions, but how much of it they actually be able to do is another thing. Now, it's obviously good to hear China saying that it's planning to cut its emissions by 7 to 10% from its peak levels of 2035. That's obviously very good. Very good from their perspective, obviously there. But obviously, it's countries that actually have the money, have the resources to do that. And like you said, one of the hardest things is obviously for nations to transition out from the reliance on oil and gas. We still have a lot of European countries that rely too much on fossil fuels in order to fund their economy, and they need to turn away from that. I know it's a long transition to do that, but we need to try and push countries towards not relying so much on that. And I think that's a big challenge because it's not just the political pressure from oil and gas companies. You have people the ordinary workers who work in those jobs, work in those areas where basically you're saying to those people who've worked in those jobs for years and years and years, not just obviously UK and other parts of the world, you're saying to them, yeah, we need less of you guys. Basically, we need to make more of you people redundant, and that's obviously workers that's obviously been in those industries for a long time. So we are talking about workers. We have workers as a factor in all this as well, and trying to convince them to transition into more greener jobs and more greener energy. And that's kind of a hard thing to sell, isn't it? To work to those people who work in those industries. I'm not talking about the executives. I'm talking about the lower level workers in those jobs.
That's why there is some validity behind the retraining schemes. You know, these people are going to have to relearn different. They're going to have to, learn different skills. I say retrain. It's retraining, but it's learning new and different skills. And it's like but it's going to be needed to be done. And again, like whilst you can definitely say China should definitely be moving at a faster pace than it is. It's showing signs that it's looking at the what it will take to actually do the transition for its own economy, for its particular nuances of its economies.
Yeah, that's a real failure. Lots of that happening, unfortunately.
But this is like these things are trial. You're very rarely gonna get this perfect.
No.
First time, because these are for us to make progress, we have to make mistakes. Like I hate to say it, but that's actually inevitable. That's the evolution. Like it's trial and error. For us to get better, we have to learn what not to do.
So let me read a bit more into this, guys. So your new plans will take us a significant step forward. How do I say his name properly without making it get
Gutierrez.
Good. I can't say that.
Say Gutierrez.
Gutierrez. This is one of the reasons why I have One Angry Pagan here, to correct my pronunciations of words, guys. That's the real reason he's here. He told government leaders we are in the dawn of a new energy era. We must seize this moment of opportunity. Gutierrez? No, I've watched it again. Who admitted this week that the international goal of limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, that's 2.7 Fahrenheit, is at risk of collapsing, and said that the upcoming UN climate talks in Brazil, known as COP30, must produce a credible global response plan to get us on track. They didn't get a plan, did they, at the last COP, did they? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they did get one.
They outlined a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but
if I remember rightly, Alex Sharma was in tears.
Yeah.
Like the old Tory Alex Sharma was actually crying.
Yeah.
Like the Saudi and the US and that were being utter bastards.
Yeah.
It was really it was a really weird moment because I actually felt sorry for that one particular Tory, because Alok Sharma seemed to actually believe in his job, which is rare for Tories, but he actually seemed to believe in it. Like, he was gutted.
Yeah.
And if you get in Tory, if you like, even though I guess I get it. That's not a indicator of the whole party. But if you get in Tories that are like that, then I'll repeat what I said earlier. That what Trump said at the UN about climate change being a con job and green energy being a con job, he's shouting into the wind.
Well, he always shouts into the wind, to be fair. So the science demands action, the law commands it, he said, in reference to a recent International Court of Justice ruling. The economics compel it and the people are calling for it. Until now, a few countries have submitted updated emission reduction plans ahead of COP30 talks in November. That's not good. Which is meant to feature new targets to help the world avoid worsening heat waves, droughts, floods, and other, other crises. Currently, the planet is set to vastly exceed the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming limit agreed a decade ago in Paris, with temperatures set to rise as much as 3 degrees, that's 5.4 Fahrenheit, beyond the pre-industrial average, triggering catastrophic consequences for many countries. And this stuttering global effort is being further impelled by the actions of the US, the world's largest historic emitter of carbon pollution. On Tuesday, Trump, gave his speech. He's crap about it. Yeah, we don't need to read what Trump says. We've heard it all before. Let's go to real people. Anyone looking outside the window knows that climate change is here and happening, said Manish Bhatnagar, Chief Executive of the Natural Resource Defense Council. The real question is why anybody responsible leader would try so hard to convince us otherwise. Yeah, it's called money. It's called money, and he likes a lot of it. Other climate advocates at the UN General Assembly and a co-current climate week event also happened in New York, and said the world should rally on a climate regardless of the Trump-led US and accelerate the transition to renewable forms of energy. Last year, $2 trillion was invested globally in renewables such as wind and solar. That's very good. Doubling the amount going to oil, gas, and coal. That's a really good sign that more investment is going into wind and solar. That's a good sign.
To go that way as well.
Yeah, that's a very good sign. So one of the, obviously those who are in those businesses, private businesses and whatnot, who do have companies around green energy and whatnot, that's good for them, so that their futures are, like, even though maybe some countries they may be more difficult than others, there's opportunities for them out there. All the jobs, all the opportunities come from clean economies. So it's there. It said Rachel Kite, the UK government climate envoy. So we don't get distracted by the noise. Follow the signal. I think we'll get there. 195 countries ratified the Paris Agreement, and -1 is 194, not 0. There's plenty of people who would seek to undermine and threaten the Paris Agreement, but 194 countries are showing up to Berlin to show the road, to keep the show on the road. Sorry. One of the countries still engaged in the climate efforts, the greatest focus will be on China. It is responsible for around a third of all global emissions, but will also become the world's leading clean energy superpower. And on Wednesday, Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, said the country would install more than 6 times as much wind and solar capacity in 2035 compared with 2020 levels. And they have plenty of land to use it, to use as well for it.
They have the history to prove that they can. They've got the industrial power to actually achieve it.
Yep. Says it's a great tragedy that the US is hobbling itself and allowing China to become the global leader in confronting the climate crisis. Al Gore says. But Gore says he's rather optimistic.
Al Gore.
Yep, Al
wow.
Gore. Yes, Al Gore, people. He said he was optimistic that the world would follow the clean. I know. Follow the clean energy path rather than the fossil fuel revampment espoused by Trump. We are going to win this struggle. We are going to be successful, he said. The remaining question is whether or not we will win it in time to avoid the terrible negative tipping points that are out there. I think we're going to hit those tipping points regardless, but we are going to try our best. is there anything else I need to add to this? Regards to the latest
What,
rounds announced, the mission
what I've
cuts
not
no
seen
action
here.
demanded. Contribution.
We're still not talking about
PC.
adaptation.
No, go on.
We're still not talking about adaptation. Like, we're talking about mitigation, but the real aspect, like that, when we talk about mitigating the climate crisis, what we're really talking about is saying that it's happening. We can't stop it from happening. We're just going to try and reduce the effects. What that also means, though, however, is we have to adapt to the changes going forward because they're not going to be reversed. You cannot unring a bell. And I still don't see that. Where is climate adaptation?
Answers on a postcard, guys. Chris says solar and wind have their place in electricity generation industries. However, we need a reliable method of generating base load and without fossil fuels, and that leaves nuclear there.
Yeah. Both fission and fusion are continuing to make strides in advancing on one, their safety, and two, their effecability. The nuclear fusion has actually been is now at a point where they're looking at they're now being able to look at trying to what like they know the fundamentals. They can get that, like they've been able to get these things fired up. They're just trying to make it more efficient now, trying to get it to the point where it powers itself. That's all that needs doing it. That's all and then making it more commercial. And on the fissions and the nuclear fission side of things, we're getting to the point of, as we talked about before, of small modular reactors, which will be a godsend to like, especially to areas like down in here in Devon and Cornwall, which are a bit further away from the main grids.
Yeah, well, they are trying to transition us to some of that energy, but unfortunately, it is something that's going to take time. So this is the story that obviously I covered this morning for those who weren't on the Good Morning Show, and I did send this to One Angry Pagan as soon as I saw it before I covered some of it here. So the headline is Ed Miliband's looking into more North Sea drilling despite Labour's pledge. So the exclusive says that the Energy Secretary examining ways to allow oil and gas exploration without breaking the manifesto promise. Pagan, your response to this?
Well, the article itself is a little bit more nuanced than that fucking. I say little. It's a fair bit more nuanced than that headline. That headline is a little bit disingenuous, if I might be honest.
Okay.
Because for a start, Ed Miliband's priority is the green transition. I'm not sure that can be argued with. This is a point of we're heading towards more dangerous times. We could be heading towards a war situation.
Yeah.
And with a much higher reliance on electricity, the infrastructure to do with green energy is more electricity based. Therefore, if we're going to go to war with another country, with a near peer nation, say Russia, for example, they may well use EMPs. EMPs are less effective on gas and oil infrastructure.
So this is more about defense.
This I think is just a just in case scenario, because everything else I'm seeing is Ed Miliband's pushing forward with the green transition and pissing the lobbies off in the process. He is royally pissing the oil and gas lobbies off right now. And he doesn't give a damn.
So it says obviously in the article, it says that he's planning to encourage drilling.
Well,
so is that wrong?
They're looking at ways to see if they can continue to drill gas. So to me, it kind of looks like they're looking at a similar way of doing it like China's doing it. Keep going for the moment, just to keep your economy going, so you don't weaken your economy at the cost of the green transition. And once you've got the green infrastructure up and running, then shut down all the gas and oil infrastructure, because you've already got the green stuff up and running at that point. Makes it long term, mid to long term, that does there is a payoff. And the way they're saying it here is, instead of actually looking at new oil, gas and oil fields, looking at existing oil fields that aren't being used anymore because they're assumed to be too low, having a look at them, see if we can just use a bit more of that until we've gotten the green infrastructure up and running. Because whilst we've got all the energy and stuff, well, like the manufacturing's getting underway, like
to point out the
well,
gas,
yes, but the actual that's there are we know how to manually do that as well, whereas with the whereas with the green energy stuff, that's more vulnerable to EMP. I'm not saying that I never said that gas and oil isn't vulnerable to it. I'm just saying it's less vulnerable. But
the thing is I just want to just make it clear, like, because obviously I covered the whole article.
I think it's a bit.
There was no indication that this is anything to do with defense whatsoever.
No. It's what it's saying here is they'll look. I'm inferring defense here. I'm inferring a wider view on this, largely because I've listened to.
You think it's because of defense, but obviously there's no indication of this yet.
At this point, I know I'm kind of guessing how Ed Miliband thinks. Right, I've listened to and read loads of his books. I've talked to him personally a few times when I was still in the Labour Party. So it's like more than most other MPs, I get how he thinks, and he's spoken on this aspect before. So when he's looking at this now, what it says here is it's literally more of a case of keeping this going whilst the main inference from this is that he's to keep it going whilst we're getting the green energy infrastructure up and running. I mean, look at it. We're still having to shut down a whole bunch of turbines because the infrastructure to get it to feed it into the country isn't good enough yet. So we're still having to shut down those turbines if they're generating too much energy. So until we got that upgraded, there is like this whole transition is going to be very messy. It just will be. And this isn't me making an excuse, because that's just the fact. Like it's very distasteful, and I agree with Chris that like I really don't like the prospect of more money going to gas and oil companies, but think of the word.
We got to keep them. They still have influence in some way, shape, or form. Anyway,
you've got to think of the meaning of the word transition and everything that comes with that. That doesn't mean just we've got it now, so we can shut the old stuff down. No.
Everyone knows that you can't shut off oil and gas like that anyway. Everybody understands it's going to take the transition.
So then, what he's saying, what's being said here, is they're not actually looking at opening new gas and oil fields. They're looking at possibly reopening abandoned ones that still have a license on it. There is an idea has been put forward by some professor or whatever that apparently is being considered by ministers, and is not being actually linked to Ed Miliband himself.
Well, let me read this bit here. Miliband's been working on proposals for North Sea for months as the government looks for ways to maximise the lives of existing oil and gas fields without allowing completely new exploration.
That goes exactly to what I said. That goes exactly to what I said about wanting one big point of this Labour government is trying to boost the economy, right? And if you can learn,
Yeah, so the Energy Secretary is looking at ways in which the government can allow companies to look for and produce more oil and gas without breaking Labour's pre-election pledge not to issue new licenses.
Exactly.
Basically.
Like there are people coming forward.
Wide range of proposals in recent
ideas
weeks.
about bespoke. There are people coming forward with ideas about bespoke licenses. But I personally, if Labour do that, then I will get. If Ed Miliband does decide on that, then I will be pissed at him. But so far, like the way this is being read, is actually it's more in the next paragraph it's Professor John Underhill, an expert in the energy transition at Aberdeen University, called on the government to issue bespoke oil and gas licenses to companies to explore and produce hydrocarbons in places that have previously been deemed unprofitable. Now, I get that like this is to keep us going whilst we're building up, whilst we're building the green infrastructure, but we don't need constant more ideas about how to keep this stuff running. I do like this idea about banning the routine burning of excess gas known as flaring. I do like that idea, but obviously I prefer that go much further. But again, we're going back to the whole point of incrementalism here, and incrementalism has been shown to work.
Yeah. Some saying with electricity grid, we don't have redundancy in place to replace large transformers following the EMP attack or a solar farm. As some kids say, yes, at first, but used to keep gas pressure steady when we want to natural gas. This is Alison Kier there. Russell Cannon says, good to see you there. I think that's right, Chris. I think we have to use a gas emitter in my town a long time ago. It was taken after we switched from town gas to natural there.
Like, one of the things the Tories did was like they were looking at that. You do this stuff and you do look at this, but there was no joining up of any ideas, which was one of the things that the Tories, I swear, the Tories did to hold back progress. Like having different areas of the country try out different ideas is a good idea actually, but you also have to have those different areas communicate with each other so that each area knows what works and what doesn't, and if they can, maybe hybridize ideas and whatnot. So but the Tories refused any collaborations. It's the same shit they did with the splitting up NHS trusts. It's the same thinking. Labour are starting to trying to get these different areas to join up the thinking. Now, again, I do find this distasteful, but the transition means that we're going to have to keep going with some of this stuff until we're actually ready to go to green sources full time.
Yeah, because on paper, from the front looks of it, it looks obviously, because on the face of it, it looks like Ed Miliband is U-turning on his pledges. On the face of it, if people were to look, if not looking at it, and that was the initial impression I got there.
His main priority is still the green transition. It's just when he's talking about this, he's like, look, we're still going to need that gas. He has said this in the House of Parliament as well.
Yeah,
we are going to still need gas and oil going forwards for a while yet. But the point is to reduce our dependency on it. We can't fall into the same trap of like focusing on one or two types of energy sources. One of the whole points of the green energy movement was diversification of energy sources.
Yeah.
Which means nuclear, which means given the tough times are coming, we might need to think about how we're still using our gas and oil. We might need to renationalize gas. Imagine renationalizing gas and oil, considering Maggie sold it all off. That would really piss off the international markets, I tell you.
No, but it would also protect our energy infrastructure, energy in doing really so as well.
But that's like want to talk about radical ideas. If people want me to talk about radical ideas, like
Scottish gas.
You want to bring that?
I imagine a national company called Scottish Gas for Scottish people.
But my point is that when you look at these things, you've got to look at it over how do you develop these things over time, because you can't just go from here to there and expect everything in between to go naturally. No, you've got to put a lot of fucking work into it, and it's not going to be clean work. It's like people complaining about Starmer with Trump, and it's like, that's called diplomacy, and diplomacy quite often means getting your hands mucky.
Let's hope we let's keep dodging those solar storms, Chris. Let's hope we keep dodging them. That's the best thing I can say, because the best thing I can.
We were kind of saved before by some of the solar storms in prehistory by the abundance of trees, which is one of the reasons why I feel much better living in an area with loads of trees if another solar storm hits, because a lot of the trees will soak that up. But because there's less trees than there ought to be, it's going to have an outsized effect than it ought to have, which goes to which goes to the point that Chris is making.
Yeah. So, got other stories, obviously, we'll look at as well. So this other one, guys, this one you found here as well. New homes may be forced to fit water-saving showers and toilets. So the plans have been welcomed by campaigners and house builders, but there are calls to extend the benefits to existing homes so they might also save money. How exactly do these fit water-saving showers and toilets work? Exactly. Is it a case? So I'm assuming it's a case of there's is there there's a cap on how much to use it, or is there something that tells you how you're using too much, or something like that?
It could be the systems itself are smaller, allowing less water to be used at any given time.
Right.
And I mean, to be fair, water is used a bit too liberally, considering what we're going into.
Yeah, we are.
The amount of rich people doing what they're fucking doing, and I have heard a lot of people. Do you mind? A lot of people, wealthy people in this in Torbay, complaining that council and governments are bringing in heavier regulations on water usage because they want to keep their lawns green. Like, what about the local environment, you toffs?
I think it was me and you last month where we covered, or was it? Well, it might have been on my channel where we covered somebody basically bringing in trucks loads of water to the field.
Yeah, that was on the last episode.
Yeah. So in the same area, while people were restricted hosepipe bans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it to the whole system, this means if all houses are going to have this, including existing houses, then that's a one size fits all recipe that might actually work, because it forces the rich people can complain all they want, but they have to have this system too.
Yeah, I get they reduce the flow of water, Russell. I'm just a bit. I'm not as in the weeds as much as you guys are in the chat and Pagan is. So that's why you guys are helping me understand better.
I think in basic terms, you can see it as given the amount of big pipes and big water pipes and all loads of pipes go and do different stuff.
Yeah, we have loads of water systems.
There would be a cut down on the amount of branching pipes. There would be a reduction in size as well. I can kind of compare this weirdly to the F1, where they each time they look at making their cars more efficient, you can always notice that their fuel tanks may be a little bit smaller, their pipes a little bit narrower.
They would have because it would be less weight, which means more speed.
Yeah, but the same principle applies here with conservation. When you're trying to conserve the amount of water you're using, for the amount of things you want to do with the water, you're still trying to not use as much. Yeah. So that same principle still applies here, even if it's for a different end result.
That's outrageous. The 3 golf courses around me were allowed to water their greens during the hosepipe ban. Golf courses. Golf bloody courses.
I mean, there's a few over in Torquay, next town over, that they were pissing the housing estate off that was basically opposite the housing opposite that basically sits opposite those golf courses were under a hosepipe ban. It was a real piss take.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if anyone was wondering what I was putting in my mouth with a spoon, that was Gaviscon, because my stomach was playing up. So so I needed that while Pagan was talking earlier. I just wanted to reiterate that. Yeah, I wasn't taking anything I shouldn't be taking. Just in case anyone gets the ideas. Hey, what was he taking earlier? Put that spoon of something. Put a spoon in his mouth with something on it. Yeah, it was Gaviscon, just for reference, guys. So new homes in England could be fitted with mandatory water saving showers and toilets under government proposals to save water. So the Environment Department is consulting on plans to acquire house builders to fit new properties with features and aerated taps and shower heads and a dual flush toilets. And it comes as 5 areas in England are still battling drought this autumn following a record hot summer. And the government said the proposals would have a negligible impact on the user's experience while cutting water use by about 20 litres per person per day and saving £100 a year on household bills. This is what it says there will be. England is otherwise expected to face water shortages of 5 billion litres per day by 2050, driven by the growing population and climate change wreaking havoc on rainfall patterns. And freeing up more water could unblock housing developments, allowing an extra 1,000 homes to be built for every 5,230 built to the new standards, ministers hope. Yeah, this is the when we talk a lot about the homes that they want to build, like the 1.5 million homes and everything. It's not just the infrastructure around it, like schools, hospitals, and all that kind of stuff around new homes that you need to build. But there's water, there is electricity, there's all the energy that comes into them as well. Setting up the grid for them, setting up the water pipes, sewage pipes, all that kind of stuff. All these things,
money, manpower, and a fuckload of time.
Yeah, it's all this stuff like that comes to it, and of course regulations, of course, as well. Which, even though they are trying to reduce regulations, there are still some regulations that they can't reduce because.
That's talking about that. That was one story I was going to chuck to you, but we usually get to a limit when it comes to the stories, so I thought I'd hold off, but I'll mention it at least.
Yeah, go on.
I mentioned a few months back about the government's idea to bring in a sort of environment bank so that housing companies and whatnot can pool money together in a place where there might be environment costs. Extra costs because of trying to keep up with environmental regulations. Instead of eating out of what they've already got, they all put money together and that's used for that. So you're not actually dodging the environmental regulations, you're just setting money aside so that can be accounted for. From what I gather, that's being pushed ahead with.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's related to because it's related to the house building side of things as well.
I think there was something about rainwater being talked about, Chris. I can't remember, I don't know if it's in this article, but I'm pretty sure when I was covering some of the news stories this morning or somewhere, something about harvesting rainwater for use in toilets was mentioned somewhere. I can't remember where, but that idea has been that's not an idea that hasn't been brought up. Just for people who don't know what I'm talking about, Chris says, how about new bills being required to harvest rainwater for use in toilets and washing machines? Just an idea.
Yeah, I've seen that pop up. I mean, to be fair, we have a history of coming up with ideas in times of necessity. Just do.
Yeah,
we'll come up with random ideas of how to random solutions of how to get around certain problems. We've done that for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Emma Reynolds promoted to Environment Secretary.
Sorry.
Yep.
You saying her name when you were talking about Gardner this morning, Barry Gardner.
Yes.
And he was talking about the stupidness of the reshuffle because no one knows what they're doing. He really fucked up with using DEFRA as an example because Emma Reynolds was the secretary, as the minister under Steve Reed. So she knows the brief.
Well, in that case, it's okay, but not everybody.
No, but this is like it really annoyed me because I do kind of like Barry Gardner. It's just the example he used was so poor.
Okay, he used the wrong example, but obviously, like for example, like pushing Yvette Cooper out of the Home Secretary role, even though like, and then like for example, who's been lined up for that role, and she, the worst thing that Yvette Cooper did was obviously prescribe Palestine as a terrorist organization, but like
I don't like the absolutism of like a reshuffle is just bad because in this term here, like it's a good move because Steve Reed was also getting a bit of a half dodgy reputation as well. So
we'll say it has its pros and cons.
Emma Reynolds doesn't have that baggage, and she's also on top of the brief. So it was one thing that really bugged me from this morning. I don't.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Removing the water storage barriers that have stalled development for too long will mean that unlocking thousands of new homes while saving families money. So Crawley Borough Council last year declared a housing emergency, citing water demand measures as one of the main factors preventing house building. And meanwhile, new non-housing developments have been banned in Hazelmere in Cambridge until 2023 due to a lack of water supply there. The consultation is part of a wider push to reduce water consumption at home from around 137 litres per person per day to 110 litres by 2050. Other changes to the current bill regulations could include harvesting rainwater to flush loose from home, which literally Chris had just mentioned that idea in the comments. So you're ahead of the game there. Yeah. Psychology professor Benjamin Gardner, who specialises in behaviour changes at Surrey University, says such changes are likely to be highly effective without people even noticing a difference in their daily lives. And this is definitely one of the ways we could, it's just getting into a habit of trying not to use as much water as you possibly can. Try not to be wasteful with it. Like I think I've even mentioned this in live streams and whatnot. I might have even covered this before in a live stream or video. To be fair, like literally, like for example, I mean, I still get water from the tap personally, for my water. And then when it comes to squash, I always use a jug rather than just getting it from. Just filling up the jug full of with the water and then whatever squash, and then just trying to less reliance on water there. I don't take long showers. I try to keep them down, try to keep it to 5 minutes max, or maybe even less, depending on how quick they go in and out, just so I'm not wasting too much water. Like, try to avoid baths if you can. Use it more as a luxury rather than a hygienic thing that you should do on a daily.
I don't have a choice where I don't have a choice where I am.
I know that's something that's obviously something that the government, I think, needs to talk about more. Try to encourage more people to. Obviously, people have financial difficulties, but I think the government should try to discourage people having baths daily and try to encourage more people to have showers more regularly. I think that could save a lot of water consumption as well. But obviously, like I said, your situation is one of many people's situations where they can't switch. You can't have a shower, but also the case of it's also costs money to do so. It costs money to do some of these things as well. So, but those are just small examples, shall we say? But I'm sure you guys will throw some other examples in the chat there as well.
This could very well be cost-effective. Cost-effective solutions.
Yeah. Obviously, the water companies need to do more as well. Like, they need to be fixing up a lot of leaks. They can't. Like, I accept that they cannot fix every single leak that out there, but there are a significant amount of leaks that they have not. That they've kind of just sat and let.
Absolutely.
I can't remember what the statistic was, but it's like so much water is being wasted every single day because of the leakage, and we would save so much water.
I do have to say though, Chris, I know plenty of people, normal people, not wealthy people, right? Normal people down at our level, right? Who use way too much water.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's trying to get people out of that habit as well. Yeah. But yeah, I do agree. Obviously, the companies need to do their bit as well, which is why I'm hoping over the next couple of years we see more of that as well. But he said those in older homes should have the same changes to save water and money. Retrofitting water-saving technology to existing homes should be a priority too. Just a reminder, guys, we only go as far as 9:30, so we'll see if we can get through all these stories just for reference as well. Campaigners and housing developments welcome the proposals.
That's good. Housing developers being on board with this.
Yep.
To be fair, housing developers have been, and we're not just talking BlackRock here. We're talking about independents as well. Talking about like Labour, a lot of Labour's housing plans have been pretty good. They're looking. They're like there's some positive views towards the house building front. It's just also a lot of trepidation on the amount that Labour want done.
Yeah, everyone does things differently, Russell. Yeah, everyone does things differently. They said new builds are significantly more water effective than older homes, saving owners an average of £126 a year and reducing the country's water use by billions of litres a year. Factoring this into planning decisions is a sensible move that should unblock desperately needed homes currently held up in water-stressed areas. Without actions that the government had moved too slowly. Its CEO, James, has said this once feared for water crisis is already here. This summer is one of the driest and hottest on record, urging the government to get tougher on water firms to tackle leaks. He added, families should not be carrying the burden alone the water industry, so it plans to halve leaks by 2050. Half of them by 2050 in 25 years. That does make me wonder how many leaks we have at this point, like as an estimate.
We shouldn't, just because there are leaks doesn't mean we shouldn't try to reduce our own water usage.
No.
I as much as I acknowledge the greenwashing aspect of the recycle, reuse, reduce scheme from when I was growing up, I also see the value of it.
Yeah. Let me just see what Grok would say. Roughly how many leaks are there in water supply, just as a reference there. In the UK, apparently 3 billion litres of water is wasted every single day through leaks on the network, says Chris C there.
Yeah.
And Grok has said roughly 100,000 leaks are estimated in England's water supply system based on repair data from water companies. It's using 19 sources for reference. The figure comes from Thames Water repairing over 1,300 leaks per week, is what it says. About 67,600 per year across this network, serving 15 million people, which is around 27% of England's population. Scaling this proportionately across all companies suggests that around 250,000 annually repairs nationwide. But since leaks often persist until fixed and background leakages are ongoing, the number of active leaks is likely lower, around 100,000. In 2023-2024, companies repaired 44,660 main bursts, which contributes to, but some don't fully represent all leaks, as many are smaller and undetected there. I think that's a very good point there, that some are smaller than undetected there, just from Grok there. So yeah,
but for this to get better, it can only get better bit by bit. So we can keep listing all the bad stuff, but like we knew that Labour was coming into a multiple cluster fire.
Yeah, we've established that. Yeah, that Labour are trying to put out a fire they can't put out.
And anyone who isn't naive should have expected that this would these multiple cluster fires would take Labour a long time to fucking clear out. No.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll just give just for reference there, because obviously just because whenever I use Grok, I just want people to know some of they uses 19 sources, so different ones from water.org.uk, Thames Water, Guardian, Lib Dems from Discover Water, BBC, Ofwat from the government's website as well, just reference. Even use Daily Mail, government's website, and Data Enix. There's just a couple of reference websites that are used to give me that answer, just for reference there, guys, just in case you're wondering.
Interesting. So there's a Liberal Democrat as part of the source.
finds is always finds. It's not. Remember, Grok's not always 100% accurate. You know, let's be. Yeah, I've used it on wrestling stuff, and it's like Grok, that's wrong. And then I say, Grok, that's definitely wrong. Like, so if he's wrong on wrestling stuff that I ask him, he's not always going to be right on things with numbers on this stuff.
I've had arguments with the Google AI when it comes to zoology and
so I would always say, like, it can be a point of reference, but to take it with a pinch of salt as well, because it's not always going to be accurate. I think it's a good way to respond to it. Moving away from the UK, guys, this story you got for us as well, One Pagan, that some US streams and rivers are facing severe declines in fish population. A new study suggests climate change was among the culprit of biodiversity loss. What's one of the factors why there's a decline in fish population? Is it just because of temperatures, or is it because of water usage, more water usage used by Americans?
I'm going to reuse the term here. It's clusterfuck. It's clusterfire. Okay. It's many different factors coming in, and most of them nearly all of them are man-made problems. In parts we've redirected water systems where we're setting up dams and whatnot. Which interferes with breeding, with fish breeding. It's not just fish, by the way. It's not. There are amphibians and water and aqueous reptiles that are also vulnerable when it comes to their biodiversity. You got the amount Trump loosening. Oh, Trump's fucking goblin in the EPA, Lee fucking Zeldin, loosening the fucking regulations on dangerous chemicals being allowed into the water is not going to help this either.
No.
The American agricultural practices have not gotten better.
Well, just outside of this, obviously, we know that American farmers are doing really, really bad right now. Many of them don't know if they're going to make it the next few years under a Trump administration. No, I know, because a lot of them voted for Trump, and they're begging the government for money, which then is just screaming for it, and it's just like there's not coming anywhere right now. Did you want to read this one for us, Pagan?
Yeah, I can do.
Just so I can save my voice this time.
The composition of fish populations in streams and rivers across the US has been severely altered as a result of changing water temperatures and human-driven introductions of fish, according to new research. It's another good point, actually, I was going to bring up, is introduced species that are technically invasive species. Cold water streams have experienced disproportionate impacts, experiencing more than a 50% decrease in fish abundance over the last 3 decades, according to a study published on Woden's Day in Nature. Some of the largest threats include climate change and fish introductions, both by invasive species or game fish stocking, scientists say. Rich, you've seen species from Asia in Florida, like the Burmese python and whatnot, and they're causing massive havoc. And you think that's bad with just the big animals, the flashy things that people hear about. You also got to think about what they're saying here with the fish farms, and they're bringing in non-local fish, and half the time just letting them loose.
Yeah, that's one of the things that happen in the world that nations try to reduce, is obviously bringing in species into other parts of the world where they should not be doing. But the problem is, once one, it only takes 2 to get out to literally start breeding, and you literally got
look at the grey squirrels over here. Like grey squirrels are from the Americas, like our native squirrels, the red squirrel, and that's now endangered because of the introduction of the grey squirrel to this country.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen a wild red squirrel.
We see them every now and again, but they are rare. Researchers from the US EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, tracked trends in freshwater fish biodiversity in streams and rivers all across the US from 1993 till 2019. Oh, that's all right then. Lee Zeldin doesn't take that data then. During that time, they monitored 389 species across 2,992 sites. They found that species abundance, or the number of individual fish and species richness, the number of unique species declined by
53.4% and 32 respectfully
in cold streams, whereas temperatures are typically below 60 degrees
yeah.
Fahrenheit. Communities within these ecosystems become more distinct, the researchers said. The proportion of larger, late maturing fish increased, but the abundance and richness of smaller fish decreased, likely due to the introduction of large game fish, according to the paper. So, especially
basically
in America,
they're getting more consumed.
America has this obsession with, like, oh, look at this massive fish cycle. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do have that community over here, but in America, oh my God, is it massive? And yeah, they're bringing in massive fish that, like, they just prey on the smaller species, which affects the whole food web. The trends reversed. The trends reversed for warm streams with average temperatures above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The abundance and richness of fish in warm streams increased by 70.5 and 15.6 respectively, according to the paper. Communities became more similar in warm streams as well, with smaller fish replacing the larger fish. So in either case, one level of the food web is being decreased, which will have an effect on the entire tree, on the entire
the entire chain, the entire food chain.
Impacts from temperature are likely to be greater in cold streams because those ecosystems are more sensitive to increasing temperatures, the researchers said. When both were present, it resulted in increased rates of degradation to the local fish biodiversity. And that, again, that's in both. So while the effect is more pronounced in colder waters, the effect is still seen in warmer waters.
Yeah.
In addition, changes in temperature and abundance of introduced game fish magnified the impacts of each other, according to the paper. Fish biodiversity is under threat globally as a result of warming temperatures and other environmental factors. More than 18,000 fish species live in freshwater systems around the world, accounting for nearly 25%
25%
of all vertebrates on this planet, according to the paper. Freshwater fish are vital sources of food and income for humans as well, according to the research. According to the researchers, not so much here. It's more of a local fisherman's thing, but yeah. Environmental agencies. The Nature study published in January found that a quarter of the world's freshwater species are at risk of extinction. Environmental agencies will need to develop strategies to mitigate warming and control fish introductions in order to conserve the natural biodiversity, the authors said. The need is urgent, given, I don't like how they put quote marks there.
The need is urgent. They're not saying urgent.
The size of the changes over less than 3 decades, the researchers said. EPA did not respond to the ABC News request for comment. No, because the goblin in the fucking EPA,
Goblin King
building, is like, we're going to despoil everything because we love to despoil everything. Sorry, that's my caricature of Lee fucking Zeldin.
Sounds like Graham Hughes doing his enactment of doing that as well. Graham Hughes does some of those as well.
I'm not sure people quite understand just how much I despise Lee Zeldin. I did a video a few months back. I truly hate him. He's so damaging.
Yeah, she'll unleash fire and brimstone upon you.
But they're like that. And
it's absolutely true.
It's even more accurate than that, because you don't even have to mess with them and they can get all volcanic with you.
Well, we get plenty of volcanoes for sure, guys. Conservative and Republicans only know how to destroy things. That is true. Definitely seem to know only how to destroy things. We've got 2 more stories for you. Hopefully, we get through both of these before 9:30. If we have time at the end, we might just catch up on some other things and just answer some questions and whatnot about these. Or Pagan will know much better than I will, as I know, as you guys know. But this one here you've given us from Greenpeace. This one here you've got for us here. See if I can open it up without anything crashing. Here, close. So a historic ocean treaty is set to enter into force, opening the path to for marine biodiversity recovery. This was, I think this is from last week, because it's on the 19th of September here. Anything that obviously protects our oceans. I'm going to read a bit more into this, read into this, guys, and or add our comments as we go along. So, in a landmark moment for ocean protection, the High Sea Treaties has reached the threshold of 60 governments signing it into law, clearing the way for the historic agreement to enter into force. This is the most important global agreement on the environment crisis since the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. So, with less than 1% of the high seas currently full or highly protected, the treaty is crucial to expanding protections, establishing sanctuaries, and allowing biodiversity to recover and wildlife to thrive, helping to mitigate the climate crisis and safeguarding food security for the billions who depend on the ocean resources. The High Seas Treaty has the power to create the largest network of global marine sanctuaries in history, shielding over a third of the ocean from destructive activities like industrial fishing and oil drilling. Governments have set the ambitious target of protecting at least 30% of land and sea for nature by 2030. But with biodiversity in steep decline and less than 5 years left on the clock, the race is on. New analysis, by Greenpeace International has revealed that to fully protect 30% of the high seas by 2030, governments would need to protect more than 12 million kilometers every year for the next 5 years, an area bigger than Canada. That's a lot. That's a lot bigger than Canada. That's quite a huge chunk.
There are a lot of people, though.
That is true.
And
Treaty will.
That
is also true. The treaty will enter into force in 120 days, paving the way for the world's first ever ocean conference of parties, Ocean COP1. It's expected next year. Very cool. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Greenpeace is calling on the countries that are not part of the first 60, including the UK, to take urgent action and complete ratification of the treaty quickly and well in advance of Ocean COP1. Ensuring the treaty is passed into UK law by the end of 2025 will be a significant achievement for the new Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper. On the 10th of September, the UK government introduced the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Bill to Parliament, which will enable the UK to ratify the treaty. The second reading is set for the 16th of October, in which will be the first time MPs will have a chance to discuss the bill. Following the passing of the bill, the government has stated that further secondary legislation will be required before the treaty can be ratified by the UK. It is crucial for this process to be completed in advance of the first conference of the parties, Ocean COP1, in order for the UK to attend and to put forward ambitious proposals to protect huge areas of the ocean, including the Sargasso Sea in the Atlantic there.
Do you know what this tells me? That Labour are already on top of this. On this one particular subject, Labour are already on top of this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with a bill, they already introduced a bill and they're already putting it through and everything. That kind of tells you.
This is good signs. I'm liking this.
This is very good here. And these just statements from Greenpeace basically saying how happy they are.
Greenpeace is usually highly critical of any government action across the world, including ours, on the pansiness of what we're doing. But the fact that Greenpeace are like, no, this is actually really good. Like, we should kind of pay attention there.
Chris Vaughan obviously is just saying he's part of it. Landmark moment for protecting the ocean there. Campaigners are warning that immediate action is required for nations to start developing plans for high sea sanctions as time is running out to protect at least 30% of the oceans by 2030. Governments must now mobilise and use the next few months before the first Ocean COP to develop proposals for the new high sea sanctuaries. These areas must be fully or highly protected to ensure vast areas of the ocean are close to
Extractive and destructive human activities.
Human activities, unlike many marine protected areas, which are protected in name only. Governments must ensure the treaty has the powers to implement measures quickly without being tied up in delays or having to rely on bodies like regional fisheries management operations, which have overseen the depletion of the oceans for decades. Governments need to ensure that developments of sanctuaries are based on robust scientific evidence and with participation from indigenous people and local communities to ensure the process is both driven by the science and is socially just. Yes, of course, obviously people in those areas, their way of life needs to be obviously looked after as well, because obviously there are certain areas where people have always lived a certain way in their areas, and you don't really want to rattle those communities if in any way, shape or form.
To a point. I will say to a point, because eventually all humans have to adapt and change. Like, keep your traditions and stuff as much as possible, but if you're forced to change because of material differences that's different now than it was over the past few hundreds of years, then unfortunately your culture will have to change to adapt. Sorry, that sounds harsh, but yeah, that's just the case.
Yeah, and this is obviously just obviously saying contacts and notes and all that kind of stuff there from Greenpeace. Yeah, very good. Does it have a date? What is the date of Ocean COP 1?
2 seconds.
I'm going to put that on my notes. It would actually make sense if they actually put the date on there. Or I could ask Grok. Let's see who's faster, Chat, Pagan, or Regan. Let's go.
We don't need we don't. I think they're setting it up this year to take. So we'll probably find out the actual date probably either later on this year or very early next year.
It's scheduled for late 2026. Of the ratification.
I'm not getting any better detail on that. Just later in 26.
With the treaty entering into force on the 17th of January 2026 conference. Yeah, so it doesn't have an exact date. Okay. So it should be late 2026 is what we're going to be expecting, but we'll be obviously.
I might even do a live stream of a bit of the coverage, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that, Greenpeace. That's good. That's definitely a good one to cover. That's for sure. Yeah, obviously.
It's always good to see a bit of good news. You know?
Yes, because we always hear terrible news all the time, but it shows that we don't always hear about international bodies and organizations working, and there are governments, and even though governments are doing a lot of bad things, there are governments that do good, but we don't always hear about them as well.
This is why I argued the toss. Was it last episode before, with some people in chat who was saying that no one's doing anything? Like, fucking excuse me. Like,
yeah, we don't hear it as much, to be fair there. Okay, so we've got one last story for you guys. It is originally from the Daily Mail, but luckily I'm not doing it from the Daily Mail because, you know, I have morals, and I know you guys have morals too. But like anything from them, I always take it with a giant salt.
Pinch of salt.
But yeah. We're using NBC to look at this one anyway, guys. Sorry about all the ads, but unfortunately that's what MSN does, guys. So I will struggle to get past them. But the headline is the real cost of climate change, global warming that could make the average person 24% poor by 2100. Now that's quite a long time into the future.
True, but like. These are the kind of warnings that this will get worse over the next 75 years. Like, things will steadily get to that point. It's not a case of we'll be fine and then it'll be shit. It'll be these things will get worse and worse and worse and worse. And by the time we get to 2100, this is going to be the state. This is going to be the general state of things. So yeah, the actual headline for this is quite a surprising one, to be honest, from the Daily Fail.
Yeah. Let's dive into this story from them. Like I say, take it with a. If you have a giant jar of salt next to you, you're okay. If you don't have a giant jar of salt next to you from these guys, do recommend having it just in case. All right, so here's what it says, guys. Climate change could push humanity into dystopian nightmare of fires, biological scale floods, and food shortages.
Biblical scale.
Yeah, that's it. But those lucky enough to survive the chaos could end up living amid a global economic meltdown. Scientists at the University of Cambridge, warned that global warming could make the average person 24% poorer by 2100. Life in Britain could resemble conditions in less developed countries, according to researchers, with higher unemployment, lower wages, closed businesses, and even lower standards of living. Hooray! More depression for us. More depression on our way, guys.
To be fair, though, this is a fairly honest report from the Daily Fail.
Yeah. Don't break the like button, Chris. You know, I know we all want to press it, but you can only press it once. If you
Smash it.
If you smash it, you might break it, and then you won't be able to like it again. We have shown that climate change reduces all income in all countries, hot and cold, rich and poor alike, says the University of Cambridge experts in a statement. It will affect industries ranging from transport to manufacturing and retail, not only agriculture, but other sectors, community associated with nature. Of course, everything is going to be affected. It's all linked. Of course, it's all going to be affected. Based on the findings, experts say humanity needs to stop burning fossil fuels now. Urgent actions need to address climate change and protect economies from further income losses. Whoever wrote this article is probably going to get fired by the Daily Mail, most likely.
You know what? It's weird. I do every now and again. I'll see every few weeks. I'll see a story like this, and I'll be like, "Have they got a token woke person in the Daily Fail?"
Well, Russell, if you make it that far to be 133, I think you'll be the oldest human being in the Guinness World Record histories. So if you make it to 133 by then, so fair play, lad, fair play. What is the oldest person? Was it over 120? I think it is. It was the record. I think it was something like. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyways, I'm going to keep. While you look it up, I'm going to carry on. Previous studies have shown that climate change results in more intense rainfall because warmer air can hold more moisture, and because rainfall is increasing on average across the world, the chances of flooding are getting higher. Rising sea levels and resulting flooding will lead to billions spent on repairing flood-damaged buildings and settling up flood defences.
So the oldest person in history whose age has been verified is Jean Clamel of France, who lived to be 122 years and 164 days old from February the 21st, 1875 to August the 4th, 1997. Holy fuck. She's the only person in history confirmed to have reached the age of 120. Holy shit.
Wow. That's quite incredible.
Mad.
I cannot imagine what the body was like at those last 10 years or so. But my God.
See, there's a part of me that would like to be immortal because I'd like to see what comes next.
That is quite incredible. What's more, there will be a costly disruption to activities in sectors like tourism and agriculture that are based near the coast. Human-caused global warming, which is largely due to burning fossil fuels such as coal for energy, will also see a reduction in arable lands for crops as regions become drier. All this will affect global GDP per capita, the total economic output, gross domestic product for all countries in the world divided by the world's population. It represents the average economic output per person on a global scale and is a powerful indicator of individual economics, well-being, and prosperity. For the study, the authors investigated the impact of continuous temperature increases from 2015 to 2100 on annual GDP per capita losses of 174 countries.
Whilst they say what they say about GDP, like GDP is still a bit of a it's still of a broad brush metric.
This is apparently one of their graphs, apparently.
Yeah,
GDP
the
impact of
mathematics
temperature
say this is going to
temperatures.
progressively get worse.
What is gross domestic product? Gross domestic product, GDP, is the main measure of the country's economic growth. It's based on the value of goods and services being produced during a given period. It's also used to compare the size of different economies on a different point in time. From the INS Bank of England, the list of countries include Australia, Bangladesh, China, Canada, France, Germany, India, Italy, Ireland, Japan, Mexico, the UK, and the US. The researchers use shared social economic pathways SSPSs, modeling by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, that shows different ways in which the world could change. They compare future projections against two baselines, a scenario where temperature increases mimic the 1960s to 2014 trends. Thank you.
It's a hypothetical scenario, yeah.
Hypothetical, yeah. It's my dry mouth, guys, sorry. With no further warning. The researchers found that if temperatures increase persistently by 0.04 degrees Celsius per year with a minimal mitigation for adaptation, global GDP per capita will drop by 10 to 11% by 2100.
Finally, a story uses the word adaptation. Finally.
No, don't Hulk smash the like button.
Fail. It's coming from the Daily fucking Fail. What?
Yeah, I know. Pagan. This is. It's like Nigel Farage. The Bay Mail is giving you some truth with a little bit of lie. This is their truth. This is their truth article. Then they're going to give you the lie articles.
I think this is more of the case of this is the token woke person. You know, like Lee Anderson's show on GBBs, where he had that token woke guy in the corner, the token lefty or whatever you called him. Yeah, I reckon it's the same case here at the Daily Fail. Whoever wrote this article must be one of the fucking.
I don't know if we'll have a look at the end and see who writ it, just so we can have a look, guys. And don't Hulk smash the like button, otherwise you might break your phone, or you might break your finger, or you might break your keyboard. There, just tap it once. That's enough. And if you're done with the like button, press the share button, guys. Share it. Share it across social media. Share this live stream across social media. You can press the share button to Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. You know, all those kind of things. You can share it, guys. That's another way.
It's a nicer way of doing it instead of
that's another
like.
Yes, so that's another thing you can do. Yeah, if you don't want to keep liking all the time, guys. I've lost my I'm here. But in most extreme emission scenarios, the researchers projects per capita income losses of 20 to 24% compared to a no further warming scenario. The researchers also observed variations among countries, noting that hotter and low income countries might face economic losses 30 to 60% higher than those on the global average.
That I just want to add a bit onto that last thing there. That's likely due to the fact that they're going to be losing population due to migration.
Yes,
and war.
Because global migration is increasing all the time, and that's just not just to climate change, but obviously to conflicts that are taking place as well. Examples include Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Burkina Faso in West Africa, commonly cited as the world's hottest countries. Oh God! A new study published today in the journal PLOS Climate emphasized the importance of mitigating climate change and implementing adaptations measures to minimize these negative effects here.
Again, adaptation, finally.
So yeah, this is another chart I have here. We're already at 9:30, so I kind of just want to whiz through this a little bit. Is this the rest of it?
Yeah, it's the end of the article.
The authors stress the importance of abiding by the Paris Agreement, the international agreement control and limit climate change as signed. In 2015, the agreement famously aims to keep global temperatures increased below 2.7% Fahrenheit compared with pre-industrial levels. Limited the temperature increase to just 0.01% would generate global income gain of about 0.25% compared with the scenario where temperatures increase to mimic the 1960-2014 trends. According to the teams, future studies could consider strategies for climate change adaptation and mitigation tailored specifically to certain countries. But even with such initiatives in space, the long-term growth efforts of climate change are likely to persist, especially in countries with hot climates and lower incomes. However, the team stressed no country is immune from the impact of climate change if greenhouse gas emissions are not curtailed. Go back less than a decade, and most economics would argue that climate change was something that is only hotter southern countries need to worry about. The experts concluded we have challenged this assumption.
Quite
Let
thoroughly.
me see who
Quite
wrote
thoroughly.
the piece. It should say right at the top. Jonathan Chadwick. This is a story by.
Interesting.
So that's the Daily Mail columnist who will likely get fired. I'm joking. Don't wish people getting fired on it. Yeah, I still find it a bit weird. It's coming from the Daily Mail, but a lot of it's kind of truth, and some of it is kind of bits and bobs that we've already read in other articles out there already. To be fair, there, but you can have a look at the articles yourself. There, they did say. I think there was a bit more to look at, but Pagan, is your screen frozen? Just out of curiosity.
No. Sorry, I was just quickly trying to look up who Jonathan Chadwick was.
Oh, okay. You were trying to look him up.
He's from the north. He's from the north. He's a Cotswoldian.
Okay.
According to this.
Okay.
So he could be all right. Beatles fan doesn't really say much. I don't want to go on to X though. I don't want to go on to X. Why is there?
Yeah, they always say go to. My God, an educated journalist at the Daily Mail. Hell must have frozen over, says Chris. Yeah.
Okay, so he's the assistant science and technology editor at the Daily Mail, which tells me that yes, he is their token woke person.
Okay. No, yeah, banter is welcome in the chat, Alison here. Banter is welcome in the chat.
That article was.
I'd rather have banter in the chat than the chat just being like not talking. Yeah. You know. So yeah. You broke the like button, Chris, for causing chaos. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come along. We've just got over the time here. I really appreciate you guys coming out, listening to us. Thank you, One Angry Pagan, for your insights. Thank you to everyone contributed in the chat as well. Really appreciate that stuff. Really appreciate you guys. There are lots and lots of live streams on Friday that are taking place tomorrow. Is Graham still traveling back, isn't he? He's still traveling back from Ginger Island. So it probably won't be till next week that he starts doing Morning Brew again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think there might be one more Island Brew. Alistair, do you know if there's going to be?
Because he's doing them around 1 o'clock, isn't he? So yeah, So for Politics Social,
is he going to? Is he not in Canada tomorrow? Alistair,
he was in Canada a few days. He was in Canada before he went to Ginger.
Yeah, he's going back to Canada and then he's coming back. Okay.
Yeah, so he's probably not going to be doing Morning Brew for a while. Anyways, other live streams that are definitely I know for sure by their times, guys. So there is Dave McGuinness will be doing his morning paper review at 10:30. At 10:30, so do join him for that. And then after his show, you can join me for an hour with a good morning show. Probably. Phil Morehouse will probably be doing a live stream at 12 o'clock. And not everybody here is keen on Phil Morehouse, but if you guys are interested, you can check out his live stream as well. Don't know if the agenda is going to be done by him and Graham Hughes, so just put a question mark on that live stream. At 5 o'clock tomorrow, Daily Blase will have his Friday Frolics. Do join him for that show. It's a really, really good, fun show. I think A. Thompson will be going live at some point before Max goes live as well, so you want to check him out as well. Before I talk as well, I'm dropping a premiere video if anyone's interested in checking out at 7:30 as well. It's because it went half an hour long. I ended up deciding to do it a premiere video. So if anyone's interested in it, it's a bit on the numbers and whatnot about the huge mass migration policy that Nigel Farage wants to implement. And Byline Times did a big piece on it, and I basically broke it down. It took about half an hour for me to go through it. So if you guys want to check that out tomorrow at 7:30, you can check that out. And then at 8:30, there will be Max Frobsby will be going live probably, and then later on in the evening, I think Graham Hughes will probably do his after party, possibly there. If not Graham, someone else will host it, I'm assuming. But yeah, there's lots and lots of live streams tomorrow on a Friday, guys. There. So Thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will be back again on Monday. Myself and One Angry Pagan will be back again live next month. If in case you're wondering what date we're going to be doing again next month, it is, don't run away just yet, the 16th of October. So that is 1, 2, 3. It's in 3 weeks' time. Because I have 1 week off that my partner has, so I want to spend time with her. And also next week, Thursday, guys, myself and Witchy Goth will be doing the live stream, which will be, I'm very much looking forward to that as well. And then we'll have the round table next month as well. And I've already asked, I haven't got a response yet, but I've asked Graham Hughes, Graham Price, Power to the People. Been a while since we've had him on, so if we can get him on the show as well. So
wrong Scouser there. Wrong Scouser.
Wrong Scouser. I'd love to have Graham Hughes on, but it's impossible to get in touch with him. And it's difficult to get in touch with him. But anyway, guys, we are done here. Pagan, thank you so much. Guys, do check out his YouTube channel, One Angry Pagan. Link in the description as well. And again, thanks everyone for watching, and good night, I suppose. Take care, everyone. Good to see you all.